Hello, y'all. It's 11. It was just 11:10. Now it's 11:11 p.m. at night. So um, I'm not gonna be here for extra long, but um, I gotta tell what just happened. So I got my earbuds in, so I apologize for any outside noise. I don't even know where to start, and my anxiety is high. But from my understanding, um, Sunday through Thursday, we're not allowed to be here past 10 o'clock. But Friday and Saturday, we can be here until midnight. So when I went to eat dinner, and I'm not gonna say where I was at, but they had. I went to order my food, and the one of the workers was trying to tell me that I should go and order on a kiosk. I said I don't, because when I order on a kiosk, it gives me a runaround and causes all kinds of problems. That's why I just go straight to the cashier. And so, um, another worker came by, and the number that comes between 15 and 17, she deliberately and on purpose, strategically, got me that number. You know how they give you like, it's not a stick, but I don't know what you call the thing that if they have certain things when you order food and they give you a number. So, the bad number that comes between one of the numbers that I don't like, it comes between 15 and 17, that number. And I said, well, I don't feel comfortable with that number. Can I please have another one? Well, she ignored me until the last minute. And then afterwards, she finally gave me number 23. I'm like, okay. So I ordered my food. And then they had these gang stalking kids, teenagers, or young adults. They looked like they were ranged from in between ages 15 and 19. And you remember I was telling y'all how bad I needed to charge my phone. My phone got down to 72%, you know. So I've had moments when I went to that place to eat before, and people were at the table in the middle of eating their food, I know. But I thought that was the only spot that they had to charge, the only charging spot, you know. But I didn't know until later on. I didn't know until today that there was another charging spot. But I didn't feel comfortable sitting at that table because people put their feet and shoes in the seats, and I couldn't sanitize or disinfect the bench or the seat or whatever, because the black paint would come off. So I didn't feel comfortable sitting there. Otherwise, I would have sprayed and sanitized and sat down and charged my phone there, and it would have been less of an issue. But idiots put their dirty feet and shoes in the seats. And I heard that's a gang stalking tactic as well, when they do that, you know. So when I approached the kids, they had no food at all. And I said, excuse me, is it okay if I use that table to charge my phone? I'm homeless with nowhere to go. I thought that was the only table with the plug. and And remember when in the live stream, Camilla asked me about someone playing a tuba? Well, this one of the boys at the table already had an instrument. I'm like, how could they do all this gang stalking stuff like within seconds? Or, you know, and the boy with the only one of them one of the kids had an instrument. It was gold, but it wasn't a tuba. It was something smaller. I don't know what the instrument was. I don't know what a trombone looks like, but it definitely wasn't a flute or a clarinet or nothing. But it was an instrument or some kind of horn. So I guess as a quote unquote direct conversation in physical form, that they were basically acting out what I talked about in my live stream. So me talking about the urgency of having to pee so bad, I didn't get to have dinner, you know, and they're shocking my upper right tooth right here with the direct energy weapons. And Camilla asked me about the guy playing the tuba, and that walked by here when I was live streaming. And also, me talking about not having money for food, and me talking about having to use the bathroom, and me needing to charge my phone. So with the gang stalking, those kids were planted there on purpose so I couldn't be able to charge my phone. And they had no food. So it reminded me of the situation when they had those 5 gang stalking boys with the red velvet cake. And the way they talked to me, the way they disrespected me, and the cops tried to wrongfully take me to jail, and they sided with the boys. And who's wrongfully kicked out and banned and can't go to something nostalgic from my childhood by the old Gretna Ferry? Me. And the thing is, they were not even American. I think they were the Middle Eastern Arab Muslims or something. And the way how harshly, if y'all saw that video, how disrespectful they were. Excuse me. So then, those 5 Middle Eastern Arab Muslim boys, they would look like they would range from age 14 and 19. And they were extremely disrespectful, and they were illegally driving with one brake light. I don't think they had strange headlights and tail lights. I don't remember. But the bench where I would usually sit at, where I felt the most comfortable, with my OCD and everything, they ran and beat me to that homeless sleep spot. They beat me to that bench, and they ran and laughed, and then hurry up and started to eat cake. After earlier that day, I had a discussion about cake, but not red velvet cake, but it was about chocolate cake. And and they had an abusive narcissistic perp try to condemn and lecture me and falsely accuse me of making false promises and lying. When I didn't even say I promised. I said I was gonna try to discipline myself with eating the desserts when I had the try to limit myself. I didn't say that I promised I was never going to eat desserts again. But this perp came and gave me a lecture about the Bible, and falsely accused me of lying and stuff. And so then after work, it was the day after I quit. And I had to be on the streets that night. The night after I quit, and because that was my last day of work, the incident with the online situation, the cake, and then the next day they were harassing me, the 5 Middle Eastern Arab Muslim boys, with the cake. And they had different assortments of cake, but they made sure that they made the red velvet one stand out, purple with the red. And then my twin sister and her cult would harass me about red velvet cake, and they still do, So what happened today, a bunch of teenagers planted themselves right before me to make it to that table, and they didn't buy anything. They didn't have any food. And the boy with the horn tried to lie. He tried to tell me, like, when I asked them politely if I could sit there and explain that I'm homeless with nowhere to go and I need to charge my phone, and he disrespectfully told me straight up no. And then they had this big boy. I thought he was a masculine lesbian at first. Come to find out, he was looked like he was no more than 15. Because at first I thought that was a masculine lesbian female. But then come to find out, he was an underage boy. His voice wasn't even that deep. And the big boy tried to lie. And he was perping with a red phone cord. Like the phone cord was red. And they planted themselves there in advance because they knew I was coming. And they knew I was coming, and they planted themselves there in advance. And then, when I asked them about, that one boy told me straight up no, and like flat out. And then the big boy tried to lie and say, our phone's dead. The youngest one had the biggest mouth, biggest body and biggest mouth. He was fatter than me, And so he was fatter than me. And so then they militantly refused to move. And I didn't know until later that they had another table that had a plug, but people were sitting there too. But these people, they didn't buy any food and they didn't have food, and they tried to lie and say that they did. But no, they were planted there in advance before I got there as a gang stalking perp tactic. To just sit there, and then when the guy mentioned, that boy said, our phones is dead. Referencing, my death. The phones were probably charged. And they were just probably being, obnoxious in-person, real-life trolls and assholes, They did that as a bullying tactic to harass and fuck with me. And the stalkers, with the fact that I got to be on the streets tonight, they were probably planning a murder or planning a setup or something so that I couldn't, be able to have video evidence of whatever the stalkers might be planning if I had to be on the streets tonight. So then, the boys, it was, and some of the people were being quiet, and it's like mainly the boys ganging up on me and a couple of the females, and I had a heated argument with them. And the young boy kept threatening to call the police on me and falsely accused me of harassing. And he caught himself trying to talk to me just about as harsh as those 5 boys from last year, like a couple of days before I actually did get wrongfully arrested and thrown in jail. So, but it was a gang stalking setup. Those kids were planted there in advance on purpose so I couldn't get to charge my phone. Not that they were honestly there and customers and ate and just charging their phone and, minding their own business. They were planted there strategically in advance. And fake Darnell probably sent them and probably paid them. If not him, then other Freemasons or gang stalkers. So they try to make a big scene and yell at me and talk to me and try to handle me like they're the adults and I'm the child. And it's like I told them I'm 41 years old, and they falsely accused me of harassing kids and harassing them and threatening to call the police and all that. So then I went to the abusive, narcissistic, ghetto, fake security guard, and I told her, what was going on. And she said, oh yeah, because I see you sit there all the time. She acted like she had my back at first. But then she went over there and talked to the kids and see what was going on. And then they lied and said that I disrespected them first, and they ignorantly laughed and thought the shit was funny. They bullied and ganged up on me. And after she heard their lies, she started to side with them, and then she started narcissistically abusing me. And then she tried to handle up on me, and she's the type of person who I could tell she's younger than me, but she looks older because her lips look like you could tell she smoked cigarettes or weed or something. And, she tried to tell me try to talk about don't yell at her when I'm already agitated with my Tourette's. But then she yelled at me. I tried to take at least a quick picture, and they filmed and recorded me and tried to smear a campaign and make me look like a fool on social media. And then at one point they had like at least 3 or 4 boys that stood up and looked like they were about to pull out a weapon on me and trying to gang up on me and trying to fight me. And I questioned the fake security guard about why she's siding with them. And then she tried to lie and say that she's not siding with anybody and that she sees where both of us are coming from. Well, she ended up because also whenever I get wrongfully kicked out of a band from somewhere, or they want to talk about, oh, you're trespassing on private property. Well, didn't I have the court situation this week? So what do those boys know to throw in my face? What do those boys know to throw it in my face about? This is public property. This is public property. Well, if it's such public property, then the fake security guard was saying, this is public property. Well, if it's so public, how come you got mad at me and said I'm not allowed to take any pictures or video, but they can take pictures and video of me? And they're like, oh, she was taking pictures of us. She was recording us. I actually took a quick picture, and she had her face twisted up, mad, and acting like she was about to put her hands on me, and yelled at me and saying that I'm not allowed to film or record. I'm like, well, they're filming and recording me. Like she was siding with them, had her mind made up to take their side. Well, the big manager of the place, I guess he saw that they didn't have any food and they weren't actively eating, and he made them get up and leave. And I'm like, thank God. So eventually, it took almost an hour to charge my phone, like maybe 45 minutes. But now time is being run down, like my battery is at 95% right now. But I'm trying to not use up too much battery now, so I'm too frustrated to go into detail of like every nook and cranny of every word that was said. Of course, I don't remember every word that was said, but well, yeah. If the place is public, how come I can't? If it's public as this area, if it's the public, how come I can't take any pictures or videos of the gang perp activity? And when I took the quick picture, I didn't even get all the people. And then at one point, they had people across at the smaller tables across, and they try to meddle in and butt in and try to act like they wanted to get gangster and ghetto and want to fight me too when it was none of their business, you know. So, you know, some people say it's a thing with people on the autism spectrum, you know, if they might have their favorite seat or whatever, or also an OCD trait. You know, if you have like your favorite seat or whatever place you feel most comfortable at, you know. And so, I mean, just like I could be minding my business sitting at the bench, and they would plant a gang stalker to come sit directly next to me at 2:30 in the morning, and I film and record them like, why of all the benches way over there you come and sit by me? And they're like, I could do what I want, it's the public. Or they blast loud music and say, oh, I could do what I want, it's the public. Just to rub it in my face that they got all these rights in the world and I don't have any rights. That my life got to be controlled and restricted. Or I can't do this, I can't do this. There's rules I have to follow. But everybody else is free to do whatever the hell they want. You know? So the fake security guard had her, no matter what I explained, the reason why I had to raise my voice, she was triggering my Tourette's by being stubborn and had her mind made up to side with them and listen to nothing I said. And then some of the girls were trying to mock and laugh at me when they fake went to use the bathroom, pretending like they were going to the bathroom. And then they had these younger boys that looked like they were 12 or 13. And one of them tried to come by me and said, can I sit here? I said, for what? And he's like, well, my older brother said he need this. My older brother need this table. I said, get the fuck out of here. Because somebody, probably from that group, must have sent younger boys to come and harass and fuck with me and mock me. But as I said, the big teenage boy that tried to handle up on me and then falsely accused me of harassing, you know, and then one of the other teenage boys tried to lie and say, well, she came over here disrespecting us first, and this and that, and he ignorantly laughed and thought it was funny. So, yeah, like the younger boys, they sent them to perp and mock and make fun of the situation afterwards. And like I got my food and they didn't give me the barbecue sauce that I asked for, and then one of them tried to be stingy and I asked for some more, and then they finally gave me some more barbecue sauce. And after having an altercation and a feud with those perps, my fries got cold and my burger wasn't even hot. And I'm surprised I didn't end up peeing on myself. It's like, wow, I had to go pee so bad and was forced to hold my pee. And it's like, wow, they're slowing me up and holding me up. Like, the earlier I could have got my phone charged, the earlier I could have got up out of there. But, I mean, I didn't know until later that there was another area where they charged the phone. But as I said, whether they had a plug or not, I didn't feel comfortable sitting there because I've seen people put their feet and shoes in the seats. And I can't clean and sanitize it. So that's why I didn't feel comfortable sitting there. But then the middle table, one of the girls had her feet and shoes in the seats. And I'm like, this is why I didn't want to sit in place, because you got your feet and shoes in the seat. Which is a perp tactic, you know? So, I mean, what these ghetto narcissistic fake sociopaths, bullying and ganging up on me and stuff. I asked politely and then got attacked. And ganged up on and bullied and mocked. And then when I mentioned about having Tourette's and OCD and everything, and they thought that shit was even more funny. And the fake security guard totally disregarded me mentioning about my traumas and disabilities and everything like that. She didn't care. And then after the fact, after I got done eating my food, I had to use the bathroom, and then I went to try to apologize and say I didn't mean for any trouble. The female, the fake security guard, wasn't trying to hear that, but the manager was more receptive to what I had to say. But the only thing that he said that made me mad was he falsely accused me of sitting there all day. He falsely accused me of sitting there all day. And he's like, well, we're not busy now, but when we're busy, I can't have you taking up all the tables. That's why I try to get you to sit at the smaller table. I'm like, but I needed to charge my phone. I'm homeless. I don't have nowhere else to go. And the bigger tables was where the phone plugs are. Now, if they had if they had the plug where the smaller table was, I probably could have sat at the smaller tables, But I don't know if I want to go back there. And the food there it's overpriced and nasty anyway. But since I'm wrongfully banned and kicked out of, I'm wrongfully banned and can't go to the Landry's place. I got wrongfully kicked out of and banned for spraying and sanitizing my bag, this bag right here, after it fell on the floor. And they had a new employee and a new managers. And the employee went to call himself trying to tattle on me for sanitizing and spraying. But, as the manager at this place, he tonight, he was receptive to what I had to say. But he falsely accused me of, he also was bigger than me in weight. And falsely accused me of just hogging up the tables or whatever. And it's like, well, I don't come there every day, but I come there often. Ever since being wrongfully kicked out of and banned from, what's that place? Landry's seafood place. And their place is overpriced too, But I don't feel comfortable with going to many places on Canal Street and in the French Quarter. Especially in the French Quarter. With my OCD and everything, the doors are too narrow. Or they don't have two doors and only one door open and it's just too small. And the other door is locked. I hate how it's structured. And then I know that people warn me to stay away from the French Quarter anyway, Especially, I don't go on Bourbon Street or none of that. I hate it's too crowded, filthy, noisy, everything, So, and look, they have these perps parallel to me. Wait, where they at? Yeah, they're over there. So, yeah, when I'm pointing out gang stalking activity and people making like I'm the one that's the chief aggressor and the troublemaker, and so then when I told the fake security guard about the gang stalking, being gang stalked by a satanic cult, and she's like, I don't mean no disrespect and this and that or whatever. She's like, but I don't want to hear all of that. And she's like, well, now what if there was those kids? Now what if there was a grown woman grown woman and a grown man that you was talking to that would have disrespected you even worse or talked to you even harsher or whatever. But, I had to bite my tongue to avoid going off on her. And she threatened to wrongfully ban me and not those kids. But the manager himself kicked them out. But, I don't know. She told me next time you come and they had people to sit here, I can't tell them to get up. I'm like, but it's part of the bullying. Like, when people bully you, the bullies try to gaslight and try to make themselves look innocent. It's like high school bullying. If they do something as a bullying tactic and then when confronted about it, they try to make like, they naturally was doing this and doing that, when it was a strategic thing to do to get underneath your skin and upset you, So I thought I was going to be 5 or 10 minutes to tell this situation. I didn't realize it was going to be 31 minutes. But thanks for letting me vent. And it doesn't look like I'll be able to upload this tonight and probably not tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. But as far as I know, it looks like I might have to wait until Monday to upload it. So thanks for listening to me. It's 11:42 p.m. I'm late because of the situation. I'm here to explain it. I was supposed to have started live streaming like 11:30. I'm sorry I'm late because of this gang stalking activity. I do see a drone above me now, one of them, but I don't see it with the moon. I don't see the moon around here. I see at least 2 drones, but I don't see the moon to see if it's a full moon or not. But I don't think it's a full moon, or I don't know if it's a satanic ritual high day, but tonight it was a gang stalking setup and I didn't even get to enjoy my dinner in peace. But thanks for listening to me. I love y'all. My phone is at 93% now. So I love y'all and I'll see y'all.